Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff to spice up the bedroom is even better. Whether you're buying a gift for your sugar baby or just for yourself, you can get 50% off at adamandeve.com when you enter the code CANDY at checkout.
And that's not all. Adam and Eve will include 10 tantalizing free gifts, a sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item all partners can enjoy. Plus, you'll receive 6 free spicy movies.
But the best part is the free shipping.
You can get all of this at adamandeve.com using code CANDY at checkout.
That's CANDY.
So Shelby, what are you getting me?
Candy Girl Podcast. Fuck me, daddy.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Candy Girl. I'm your host Shelby.
And I'm your co-host Emily.
And today we're talking to Baliey BBW. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Baliey BBW, spelled like the wrong way, so it's BAL. And I did that when I first started, and I can't change it now. So here we are, 4 years later. I live in Tennessee, so I'm pretty deep in the South. I'm 22 years old. I started when I was 18, actually the day I turned 18. I signed up for Chatterbait, and I made a Snapchat premium, and that was it. I was totally in love with it.
Primarily, I wanted to talk about being a parent and a sex worker, because you are a parent, correct?
Yes, yeah. I have a 3-year-old, and my child, I'm going to be using like gender neutral pronouns for my child because privacy reasons and all that. I just figured that it would be a lot better that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to disclose any personal information.
Great. Yeah, thank you for understanding. So what's your first question?
So I guess my first question would be, so you got into the industry when you were 18 and you're 22 now, so you were a year in before you had your child?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what was that process like, being pregnant and being a sex worker?
Whew. Okay, so, well, to start off with the timeline, I started when I was 18 because I was homeless. Both of my parents were addicts, and I was kind of just like, okay, well, I wouldn't use the term homeless, but without like a safe, stable home. I was in between my boyfriend, at the time now my husband's house, and friends' houses, and sometimes my grandma's, like if she would let me, because both of my parents were just really bad in their addiction. And I absolutely needed to, out of necessity. I know I'd thought for a while about being a stripper, but I didn't have a car and I lived in the middle of nowhere. So I used my husband's webcam for gaming, and I set it up, and I think that my first night I made $200, which was more than an entire paycheck at McDonald's. So, and I didn't have a car, so I was at home. So I was like, oh my God, I can live. And so my first paycheck from Chatterbait was $800. And it was more money than I had ever made in my life. And I was like, I felt so fucking like powerful. I felt like I was on top of the world. But, you know, it also came with being very judged from our friends. Some cut us off, like, you know, some completely didn't understand it. And that was fine, honestly, because, you know, they didn't understand. They lived at home with their parents, and it was cushy and it was fine, and I didn't have that luxury. So I took the criticism and kind of just decided, like, let me not tell people anymore. Let me just not tell people anymore. Okay, so then I found out that I was pregnant a year in, and up until then I had been doing like barely legal stuff. I didn't have a lot of boundaries for what I liked. I thought that it had to be what the men asked, and I couldn't say no because, you know, money. You know, and then when I got pregnant, it kind of changed from being in the like naughty schoolgirl, like barely legal category to more like my body was changing, so I was gaining weight, and the feederism community welcomed me with open arms, and it was so much better for me because I always thought I'm so pretty, but I'm fat, so there's no way I'm ever, nobody's gonna like my body. Seriously, I thought that everybody liked me for my face or my personality. There was no way this body that I am stuck with could actually be, like, praised, but it totally was. And then I started doing some, like, Haitian fetish stuff, and it was super fun, and I kinda just found my way at doing that, and it opened up the door for me to be a versatile model. So I started out doing something completely different that I'm doing now, and I realized that sex work can be therapeutic if I set boundaries. Because for a while, it also was like, my husband didn't want me doing it because sometimes I would be so upset after, like, for webcamming, you have to, and I don't mean like you have to have a thick skin as, like, you have to put up with everything, but you do have to be able to intake that and tell yourself that that's not true. So, because there's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of trolls on, live streams and stuff like that. So, when I set up boundaries and I was able to practice self-love, I think that it got a lot better, and I was actually able to apply sex work and use it as a healing thing. I'm sorry, I totally forgot. I went on a ramble.
This is wonderful. No, we love hearing like everything you have to say.
Yeah, we really try to make this as much of a conversation as possible.
Mhm.
When it's more of a back and forth, it just feels more natural for everybody involved.
Yeah, and again, we want to hear your whole experience. Like the whole point of the show is to share sex worker stories, and this is your story.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate you girls so much for giving a platform to us and giving us a voice because, we actually have a lot to say. We have a lot to say.
I'm gonna be honest, most of the time I just feel honored to be like in the presence of the people we interview.
Oh, you're so precious.
Everybody's just, oh my god, my favorite, or I guess my favorite thing that I've learned is just, I don't know, everybody just really loves what they do and they love their body, and just like hearing about their journey of going through, I feel like everybody goes through some sort of period of like shame or like, should I be doing this? And just hearing people break through that to like just really love. Phenomenal.
Oh, that is so precious. Yeah. When I saw that Gwenadora had been on here, she's an absolute angel. So I was like, I have to do it. Like, oh my gosh, just something about a beautiful woman also being so well spoken. She's great.
It's true. Yeah, we love her.
I feel so safe around her.
I know.
Yeah. Right? And yeah, when I started seeing more of like how versatile she is, I was like, I can do this for a while because I was feeling really, really stuck. She does so many different things and she does them all so well. Oh, sorry, this just turned into me like loving Gwenadora.
No, we'll say fan club.
I honestly can't blame you. I'm still talking about that interview. It's just,
she is so like ethereal and well spoken. I love it. Okay, so any other questions?
Yeah. So you were talking about like how your body was changing from when you started to when you were pregnant. Was the demand for content evolving as well?
100%. The demand for content was evolving because I had a lot more submissives coming in wanting to, appease to my like lactation fetish, and there was like breeding fetishes which came in, and a lot of like that is when I learned to say no because if I'm not going to be protective over myself, if I didn't have enough, I won't say respect, but enough, if I didn't have it in me to say no and set up hard boundaries for myself before I was pregnant, I definitely had it now that I was carrying a baby. So that's when I really learned hard boundaries and that I didn't like being degraded and everything. And I learned more about, that type of, the different communities that there are. And so, I had a lot of like lactation fetish guys, and I still do lactation fetish stuff, even though I don't have any milk because it's just fun. It's just a fun, like little niche thing.
I would love to talk about the lactation fetish. I'm very curious. I can't say I myself like understand it, but I want to because I'm very fascinated with the Hugh cow fetish. And I saw a picture of you dressed as a cow on your Twitter, correct?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, if I'm thinking of someone else, this is gonna be really embarrassing.
No, it's me and my best friend. Her @ is Aquarius BBW. She is absolutely gorgeous and amazing, and I love her. And we hooked up to film last weekend, and she does a lot of that. And I had a custom order for double cows, and I was like, this is gonna be amazing. So we made a breeding video where I was like the little farm girl. Like I changed out of the cow costume, and I was like a little farm girl, like, bopping around. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's time to get you pregnant, Bessie. And she was just mooing. It was the most fun I've ever had on a clip. Oh my gosh.
When you were growing up, you used to play like Imagination, where you'd be like an animal and people would change roles. It almost seems like that's what it's like.
It's really fun. I mean, I consider her to be my best friend. I might be coming on strong, and then she's gonna listen to this and be like, "Whoa!" but like, it's really fun working with your friends, and especially friends that are so open about their bodies and have emotionally evolved and grew up with so much like self-hatred and watching all these shows where our bodies are just completely, it's like we grow up being told like fat bodies are not good bodies, and you're not like, you can't be a good friend if you're fat. That was my mindset. Like, you can't be a good friend if you're fat. You can't, nobody will love you if you're fat, all this stuff. And then to be around her, and she's also like, I mean, it's a daily struggle to love your body, but she's so great at it. And I'm so proud of her. And then to be able to film with someone, and it's just amazing. It's very cathartic. It's very cathartic to film with other fat women who don't give a fuck. It's liberating as hell. She's amazing. I love it. But it was really, really fun because I really didn't know much about it, because what I do is been doing more like just gaining stuff and feederism stuff, and then working out and stuff like that. So she is in more of the cow stuff like Gwen is, and so she's teaching me more about the fetish and like why the men like it, or whoever. It's not just men, it's whoever's consuming the content is into it. And I was like, damn, that's kind of hot. but yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Those are the kind of clips that I really enjoy making.
When I kind of going back along the lactation, I do want to get back to the things that you specialize in, but I feel like, so I've always said, oh yeah, Hugh cow is like a thing. Like, men will pay women lots of money to see them lactate. Some women even take pills or, change their diets or their routine up all completely to lactate. So, if you got pregnant and started lactating when you had a baby, you could make money selling videos of that. And all my friends were like, Emily, how the fuck do you know these things? But, this is the first time. I mean, obviously you didn't get pregnant in order to lactate.
Right.
But, you did capitalize on that. And I think that's so powerful almost. Yeah. How did that feel? I guess, I don't know, what were your opinions on that?
It felt amazing. I really didn't know that it was a fetish, and even furthermore, I was not even around any pregnant women ever, like, in my life. Like, I guess my mom was, like, pregnant, but I don't remember it. So literally I was, like, experiencing, like, I was learning as I was doing, porn. And so I started lactating, and before I, like, when I was like 9 months pregnant, like, I started lactating, and I was like, oh my God, I can make so much money off this. Of course, as like a new parent, you're exhausted. So I kind of made like 3 lactation clips, and then I was like, okay, time to nap. And and I think that it was a lot more, what's the word? Like, that's when I started making clips. So I started earning like passive income, which was really, really helpful. And that's when I kind of got more into clip making instead of being on camera, because I stepped back after I gave birth for a few months just to, do the mom thing and everything. I had a traumatic experience from birth, so I had to take a little bit off. But I feel like every time I take a little mini hiatus, my fans are like, oh my God, I miss you so much. Let me shower you in tips, queen. So that in itself is worth it.
Yeah, so I guess talking more about what you specialize in now in your fan base, that's so fucking cool, first of all.
Oh, thank you. You're so cute. You're both so cute.
Thanks. We're constantly on this podcast like, we are not worthy. Like, the amount of money, realistically, the amount of money that men would pay to, like, just sit here and talk to all the wonderful people.
Oh.
It's true. Like, sometimes we'll, like, interview people, and then I'll, like, see their rates later, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I should have been paying $6 a minute for this.
I was like, how did I not know? How could I?
Right. And I feel like when you make a name for yourself more, your time is a lot more valuable. And so when I came back this time, I kind of got a Twitter, and that's when I started growing my OnlyFans and meeting like Clint from Plumber Pass and Eliza Lort, which is the first time that I had a friend who was also a mom and doing what I'm doing. And so before I met her, I actually had a ton of guilt. Like, okay, how am I supposed to be a mom and then do this? And growing up in the South, it's like I'm setting a bad example for my kids. I'm not religious, but it's pounded into you to basically hate yourself if you are a sex worker, and that it's wrong and that it's dirty. And so she set such an amazing example for all of us that I kind of was able to let go of some of that. And she definitely showed me the way of compartmentalization.
Yeah, being a mom from the South, how did you deal with the stigma being a sex worker in the South with a child?
So luckily, I'm able to have a really supportive family who is open for the location that we're in. And I have a lot of family support with babysitting, especially because of COVID. So it hasn't been horrible. Also because I don't tell anybody. Like, I do not tell anybody anymore. So I kind of live a double life, especially when it comes to compartmentalization. I feel like out in Vegas, it's pretty normal to be an adult entertainer. There's still a stigma there. I hope there's not always a stigma, but it takes a while for people to unlearn these things. So you can be like, I'm an adult performer, and landlords will rent to you because they know that they'll take your pay stubs and everything and see. With me, I don't have that option. So I have to have a covered job, and that's really hard. It's really hard being like, oh, like, I work for XYZ, and then nobody understands like what you do for a job. And I know a couple of girls who have broken up with their significant others and the parents of their children, and actually it has been used against them in court that they do sex work. Whether it be something as small as Snapchat Premium, it is used against them.
That's just so shitty.
It's so shitty.
I feel like when you're at that point, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm rolling in dough, everything's super secure, let me just make a Snapchat Premium. Even
like if there was a divorce and the husband was an entrepreneur, they wouldn't be like, oh, well, he has an unstable income. Like, you don't know because I'm an entrepreneur. Like, you never know what's going to happen. But suddenly when it's a woman and she's a sex worker, it's like, oh, she's unreliable.
Or, well, she's a prostitute.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. It's like, oh, she's a party girl, because that's the stigma against us as sex workers. We cannot be nurturing parents and emotionally mature enough to handle raising a child, and also, because we're objectified as sex workers, it's like we can't do both, right? So I think that my customers definitely have this image that I'm this like, because I don't really talk about being a parent, it's none of their business, that I'm like this 22-year-old party girl, and that's what you think. That's what you think, and you have to unlearn it about cam girls. And then you see OnlyFans a day in the life and they're like eating sushi and going to the gym. But mine is, and especially when my child was younger, it was like, okay, do the mom thing all day, make a bottle. I'm exhausted, bags under my eyes, time to make money. And it's not glamorous sometimes, it's life.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask about how you schedule out doing content while doing childcare as well.
Right. Okay. So I'm really lucky in the sense that I'm able to completely compartmentalize the most that I'll do when my child is home and asleep is like take a couple pictures for Snapchat or OnlyFans or whatever when my child's like in bed asleep. But when my child is gone, it's every weekend. So I'm working basically the entire 48 hours of the weekend and just really pushing myself to pump out as much content. And if I have 10 custom video orders that week, then that means that I'm doing 10 videos in 48 hours to get them pumped out. And and it can get a little bit hectic, but that's how I like to do it, because I just like to keep the two separate. That's just it's my preference, and I'm privileged to be able to have that. For sure. And have the childcare, especially since the pandemic.
So when you started sex work, were you still dating your husband, or did you start dating him after?
No, we've been together since we were 15. So I was already dating him. And when we started dating, he definitely had the stigma of, it wasn't I don't think OnlyFans was huge then, but now it's like, oh, your girl does OnlyFans, you're a simp. It was kind of like that back then, but it was like with the Snapchat premium girls, especially back in the day. But it's gotten a lot better now. Like all of his friends' girlfriends have OnlyFans, and I try to promote them as much as possible. We're just out here making money, to be honest.
I love that. It's like a sorority.
It's evolved.
Except you make a lot of money instead of the other way around.
And when I first started, I told my friend at the time, no hate to her, because I know she might listen to this, hey girl, but I told my friend at the time before I told my husband, because, we were immature as hell. And I was like, listen, I got to make money. I'm not doing well. Everything is shitty right now. I've got to do something. I can't be a stripper because I don't have a car. I need to make a chatterbait. And first of all, she was like, what's chatterbait? And I'm like, well, let me show you. And I was like, but I'm not going to tell him yet. And she went to him and she was like, I'm coming at you because I think this is cheating, blah, blah, blah. And this was after I already came out and told him, because I just felt so guilty about it. And he messaged her back and he was like, I already knew. Like, I do not care. So I think that he was on the fence about it just because of him not understanding what it was, us being so young, it being stigmatized. And then I was like doing things, and he was kind of like, he was like in the background watching me, and he's just like looking at me like, what are you doing? Oh my God, kind of like texting me. And I'm like, just give me a second. So I was on there for 4 hours, and then I log off, and he's like, well, how was it? Like, I was scared for you. And I was like, I made $200. And he was like, holy shit. So, like, it was, I'm I'm so not well spoken, but I feel like I'm just talking to my friends.
I mean, that's the point. We're at a slumber party.
I feel like I'm talking to my friend.
You're so.
I don't know why I'm like this.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, after that, like, he was pretty accepting of it, just as long as I was being safe with my body and taking breaks and everything. Of course, I think that for the first year that I was doing camming, I worked like a horse. Like, I was on there for 12 hours and every night, like, just racking it up. And you know, I wasn't saving it. I was buying stupid shit like big tattoos and, I was buying groceries and stuff, but it was like big tattoos and his gaming PC and just anything we wanted, just being dum-dums. And, but it was like very, it was very odd. I think that, his family was really accepting of it. They're very sex positive, and my family not so much. But they were like, there's nothing that we can do, you're an adult. But his family I was living with them, so I'd come out to the living room, after my night when I get off at like 12, and they'd be like, so how was it? And I would be like, I made $300 tonight eating Hot Pockets, everybody. We're just out here. And they'd be like, how are you doing it? And they're still super duper accepting of it. And I'm super appreciative for that my husband grew up in such a sex positive household that he's able to be cool as fuck and support me so much.
That's amazing.
I want that kind of relationship with my boyfriend.
Yeah. When my last boyfriend and I broke up, I retweeted something about dating sex workers, and he sent it back to me. He's like, "This is cheating," and then he quoted it and tagged me in the post, and he's like, "This is cheating at Shelby." And I was like, "We're not even together anymore. Like, will you calm down?"
Excuse
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And my husband and I think we pretty much just consider ourselves like non-monogamous, just like do what you feel like you need to be doing, just be open and honest about it. So, because I am a sex worker, it's like, we're very, very, very open about it. We keep it a secret unless to our very close friends and, people like Aquarius BBW, who's like my best friend. So we're able to kind of like share stories and all of that. But that's also how our relationship has evolved over time, from being super monogamous, and him and I, growing up thinking like you have to keep your significant other on lock, like if they message so and so or they like this and this, like if they like a girl's picture they're cheating. Like that type of thing. So not what we believe and not what we stand by. And yeah, no, I don't think that sex work is cheating at all. Like me, like most other sex workers, we are exhibitionists. We get off to other people getting off on us, and it's amazing. And I will not apologize for liking that ever.
Snaps, yes.
Snaps, yes.
Do you think being a sex worker has only, because y'all have been dating since y'all were 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think becoming a sex worker has tightened your relationship or, spiced it up a little bit?
It definitely has. I think that, we have to, and this is the conversation that we just had earlier, like, nobody is perfect, and I kind of think since that I make content, I didn't know that a couple of my friends' boyfriends call me Baliey. So I was talking like by my like sex work name. And so I was talking to him earlier, and I was like, obviously I know that you enjoy, we'll just say, and personally enjoy my content. And do you see like me, your wife, or do you see the character that I'm playing, Baliey? And he was like, damn, like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've made you like objectified. by viewing you as Baliey. And I was like, I mean, I mean, I'm still your wife. And so that's like a conversation that I didn't even think about before I asked that. Yeah, it's kind of, we've explored new fetishes and it does keep things spicy to be on camera. And I think that his big thing that he really likes is like that all these guys see me and they quote simp for me, but he's the only one who really like gets to not just touch me but like bare my soul, so to speak, to be cheesy as hell.
So it doesn't sound like this man objectifies you as his wife, but that's just such an interesting conversation I would have never thought of.
Yeah, that's something I never,
like apologizing. Like one part of me just wants to say, like, I feel like, you know, you're married, like it's okay to objectify you when
Right.
you're doing that. Not that it's okay to always objectify women, just like in that instance.
Right. I think that he was just being introspective in that moment. And, you know, his personal relationship with being a male feminist has, you know, came so far. And he's just constantly like so proud of him, but like asking himself questions like, is this like okay that I'm me like all these other men? Basically, that when I see her on this, I'm seeing her as a like very performative sex worker and not as my wife. And I was like, honey, it's okay. It is.
I don't think either of y'all wants you to go on that camera as his wife. Like,
right, yeah. But I feel
you are, but like,
sad. And I'm like, babe, it's okay. That's not like, don't apologize. But you know, being a straight guy and around sex workers all the time, he's just trying to make sure that he's 100% respectful of our boundaries and our feelings and everything. So I think that that's where it was coming from, for sure.
There are men out there who are capable of self-reflection. That's just absurd to me.
Shelby dates trash men.
Date bad men.
Wait, what?
Oh, I was just shook that your husband is a man and also capable of like self-reflection.
Shelby, it's not. Shelby, stop praising literally what's supposed to be the bare minimum.
I'm not praising
bare minimum.
I'm like, wow, they're real.
The absolute bare minimum. How old are y'all?
We're both 22.
Okay. I'm 22.
Yeah, I'm also
right now. Like, I understand.
Men are the worst.
I'm also in a very healthy relationship with. I would consider Zach to be a male feminist.
I would consider that.
Yeah, he like has a lot of stuff. He's supportive of me on this podcast, even though I talk about our sex life. So,
oh yeah, my husband's like very reserved when it comes to our personal sex life, but. I get it completely. I'm glad that your boyfriend is supportive. Shout out to Zach for that.
I know. Well, literally be listening, and sometimes he'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'll text Shelby to take it out." And he's like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, "No, it's fine." You won't even be upset. It's just me, like, oh my god, it's so hard not to talk about when like you're actively being supported by the people around you.
Right, 100%. Now, I'm a serial oversharer, so I understand completely. And I'll be like, well, I'm a Gemini, so I'm like over here telling a story, living my best life, and I'm like mid-sentence, and I look over at him, and he's giving me the face like, stop. Like, shut up.
Big yes. So, do you think you'll ever end up telling your child that you were a sex worker, or do you think that you'll still be a sex worker by the time they're able to understand?
Honestly, at this point, as long as I'm able to build my platform more, I don't see myself stopping. I think that this is just the beginning for my career, so it has the potential to be long-lived. And I think that I will end up telling my child eventually. I thought about that. And yeah, I think that I will end up telling my child eventually. I just don't ever want to involve a child in an adult conversation when they're not emotionally mature enough or ready to have it. I never want to give my child, first and foremost, a childhood that they have to recover from. That's why the boundaries are so strong. But yeah, I will eventually. Nobody, I don't think that I'm going to raise my child in a way that they will be upset that I'm a sex worker. Because we're very open-minded parents, especially for our especially for our area.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool.
I feel like, I don't know, every sex worker we've ever talked to just has a deeper understanding of people.
Definitely.
I'm not 100% sure why, but it's almost like sex workers have found a way to like, it's like an onion where you peel back all the layers.
The money, because men bare their souls to us, and then I would just like hit them up and be like, "Hey, honey, so did you talk to your wife about you really needing to be pegged yet?" Or we just like squeeze out the information.
Can't wait to peg my boyfriend one day. He knows it's coming.
Oh no!
I say it on many episodes.
I know.
This is the new thing.
Hey, Zach, let her stick it in the butt one time for me.
I have to cut my nails, but
I like a zesty surprise. Don't cut your nails, sis. Live your best life.
ooh, maybe I'll just, ready for this plug, maybe I'll just use our Adam and Eve discount code.
Hey.
Sorry, I had to do the quick plug real quick.
Okay, we love a shameless self-promotion up in here. I have so many brand deals that I feel like I will, like sponsorships that I feel like I've like dropped the ball on because they'll like send me things. And I have one brand that was like, "Hello, sweetheart. We would like you to send you something else for a review." And I was in the middle of like my third mental breakdown this month, and I was like, "Hello, Abisu Mandy. I'm sad." And they messaged me back and they were like, "I'm sorry, sweetie. This dildo will make you feel better."
Like, that's fucking capitalism in a nutshell.
There.
I had the like kombucha girl face. I was like, you might be right. you might be right there. So I took the brand deal. I was like, okay.
How sick does it feel to have brands send you stuff?
It feels pretty great, but it's shitty when I ghost them because of the person that I am. That is, and I'm not like trying to pretend to be the perfect mom and the perfect block schedule person. And then I'm on YouTube trying to figure out my life. So I'm like, mom block schedule, and they're like, it's like a Mormon mom with like a bus, and she's like, "This is how I fit in 7 weeks of things in 24 hours. You don't sleep." And I'm like, okay, this is fine. I can do this. No, but it is hard. It is hard to like schedule everything under the sun. It's a constant battle for all of us moms, I think. It's really hard comparing myself and then being like, oh my God, like I just want to eat chips in my bed on my day off. I don't want to meal prep. What? Like, why do I have to do all these things? Moms in general have so many expectations, and then to add me being a sex worker on top, it doesn't matter if I've been thrown up on today. I still have to get on cam and be sexy.
Sounds like it would become exhausting. Do you ever get burned out?
I do, but I think that all moms get burnt out, especially all working moms get very burnt out, and I get very like touched out and just need a break to myself where I just kind of shut down and don't do anything for a day. I think that it's healthy to do it for a day, but more than that, and it becomes a bad habit to just lay in bed on my off day. But like, we don't have any examples for like, this is how I do X, Y, Z parenting wise, and I am a sex worker also, or like how we schedule out content creating. Like y'all asked, like, how do we schedule out content creating? What are some hacks? Like, what do we tell our children? I have friends with older children who are sex workers, and their child's like 12, 13, and they're having to explain to their kid because friends have shown their kid, like, this is your mom on this porn site. And it's hard. it's really hard to have that conversation. I can imagine. I haven't had to have it yet. I feel like I probably will have a nightmare about having it tonight.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask too. Is that a fear of yours that one day your child's friends will find you online and be like, oh, this is your mom?
Yeah, but I feel like my child's response would be like, and like, that's her body. Those are her boobs. I've seen them. I've seen her boobs. Like, what? And not that I would ever do anything inappropriate or in a compromising position in front of my child, but I feel like it would kind of be more like, you're gross, other kid, for showing me that. So that is why I wanted to launch my Telegram, like, support group for other parents who are sex workers, not just like every gender parent that is a sex worker. So the name of it is Mama, and then it's SWERS. That's my Telegram group. And so hopefully we can do like some peer guided support if somebody else has been through a situation, or like, say, a custody battle, older kid, anything, managing time. We can talk about it and maybe have like guided conversations at a certain time every week. I just wanted to open up the conversation.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents as sex workers sometimes get vilified as if, having an OnlyFans just makes you forget about your kid. I remember talking to, like, I think a porn producer, I don't know, this was a while back, and he was saying that a lot of women come on to get money for, like, really good divorce lawyers so their kid doesn't end up going to an abusive husband.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like when some people hear, oh, yeah, like that parent's a sex worker, they just automatically assume bad. But then when people hear, oh, they're a sex worker to support their kids, like they needed the money to do XYZ, then they're like, I would do that too in that situation.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me because like, I would be a sex worker regardless, but there are things that motivate me more, like my child being on the autism spectrum. There's one private school that's not religious in my area. One private school, and I have to put my kid in that school or they will be eaten alive. And I know this because actually I was also an assistant teacher and tutor for a while. I worked with kids with IEPs. I know how they're treated, and it's disgusting, and that's a conversation for another day, but I can't tolerate my child being treated like that, so I have to save up for this private school. But it's like, if you come out on your like Twitter or whatever and you're trying to promote shit and you're like, hey, give me this money so that I can put my kid through private school, which is a fucking great reason to be like crowdfunding something. But guys are, ask the dad then, hun. Ask the dad then, hun, or like, you're a mom, you shouldn't be on here. Like, it automatically turns into like a sob story, which should not be the case because we're all just human.
It's just a job.
Yeah.
It's just a job, dude. Just a job. And like you said, you talked to like a producer. I feel like male porn producers do not get the stigma that we get.
Not at all.
No, they definitely did not.
Like, it's seen as like a cool job, like a fucking like cool like macho man like job.
Porn stars, I bet you get to fuck every single one of them all the time
for free, and then they say thank you.
Men,
most men are just
most men are not male feminists.
Well,
Right.
I really hate this idea that like sex work is only acceptable if it's for a survival reason, and then if you're doing it for your own pleasure, then it's wrong. It's kind of reminds me of like the birth control argument where it's like, well, you can have birth
Right.
control if you have endometriosis, but if you're using it to prevent pregnancy, like that's wrong. But like fucking why? There's nothing wrong with being a sex worker. There's nothing wrong with being on birth control to prevent pregnancy. Why does it need to be a survival thing in order for people to take it seriously?
Exactly. And I think that media kind of like perpetuates that as like if you're a woman like and you enjoy like fucking, you're automatically unattainable, unreal, and it's so fucking, I don't want to say, obviously, because I'm in the porn industry, that porn has perpetuated that, but I think that that is why I like making more realistic porn, like where I'm seen as a human and I'm not just like a factory created like ass titties and like the more the virtual like AI porn has gotten really popular. I'm not like speaking bad on do what you like, fetish friendly over here, but I'm like it's kind of getting worse with like instant gratification and everything when I like to promote the content that's like, this girl has like acne on her butt, or this girl has like hairy legs and a hairy pussy, and this girl made a blooper reel because she got a leg cramp halfway through her orgasm, and it's funny and cute. Like, we're humans, right? We're humans. And I feel like I get a lot of messages of guys being like, you remind me of like my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, so and so, someone I had a crush on because I have a heart on for you, like you're real. And that is us, like as sex workers, like we're real people. And I have a lot of friendships with my customers. And it's hard because you're meant to like be putting on like a happy face and pretending that everything is fine even when it's not, and then you can't overshare with your customers because it ruins the image, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the dialogue that kind of needs to be opened more, is like, hey guys, like we're humans too. I think that's why y'all like us, right? Because you get to have a relationship with us, especially through OnlyFans and stuff like that.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, about how sex workers double as therapists and as...
For sure. And a mom for me.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, and so it's because I'm so like maternal and nurturing. I feel like I also have customers, and I'm not gonna like overshare too much because their privacy means the world to me, but like I also have customers who do like the mommy fetish because they had abusive mothers, and it's cathartic for them. It's healing for them to come to me and know that they are completely 100% safe with me.
Yeah, I feel like I say this in so many episodes, but just coming back to the point of, allowing sexual healing, that there are therapists for your mental health, all sorts of doctors for your physical health.
Yeah.
So, like, why is it so wrong to have somebody for your like sexual health and your sexual needs? Because everybody can benefit from that. And I feel like, well, one, domestic violence rates would definitely go down. Like, people would be a lot more open and realize there's nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. So it's always really nice to talk to somebody who like, understands and sees the like healing effect that they have on people. A lot of people know like there's some sort of healing, but the fact you get to have that relationship, that sounds, I don't know, validating.
100%. And I feel like not to toot my own horn, but like I feel like I help my customers kind of unlearn a lot of toxic masculinity that they were taught. Like, especially the guys that are like, my wife, like I'm scared to tell her that I like being pegged, like she's gonna think I'm gay. And I'm like, what's wrong with being secure with your sexuality? What is wrong with it? I just set them up to have that conversation if they're ready, and if not, I provide an outlet for that sexual need. I feel like everybody needs to have their needs met. sexually, emotionally, physically, and that's what I'm here for, to help open the dialogue.
Well, this has been such a great interview. Bailey, thank you so much for talking with us.
You're so welcome. I feel like I've just rambled, but I
hope
hope
I could talk to you forever, but Shelby has to edit all this.
I do. We also have to go grocery shopping. It's dinner time.
You're fucking right. It's our last night together. Oh, well, I guess wrap it up and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bailey, do you have any social media you want us to plug?
Oh, yeah, sure. At Baliey BBW. So it's capital BALIEY, capital BBW.
And do you have an Instagram?
I have an Instagram, but to be honest, I haven't used it. So, but you can also see me on bbwland.com and plumperpass.com.
There you go. So go check out Bailey. She's so much fun. We love talking to you. You can follow us on social media too. On Instagram, we're at Candy Girl Podcast. On Twitter, we're at Candy Girl Pod. And if you have any questions for me, for Emily, for Bailey, you should email us at candygirlpodcast